I'm Morgan from the Youth Advisory Board's Healthy Relationship Subcommittee. I'm here with Tina Simmons, a victim witness advocate for the Domestic Violence Unit in the Hamden District Attorney's Office. Hi, Tina. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Morgan. Thanks for having me today.
I'm going to start by asking, what is a victim witness advocate, and what specifically do you do as a victim witness advocate for the Domestic Violence Unit?
So a victim witness advocate is someone who assists victims of crime, helps them through the criminal justice system, helps them understand what their rights are in accordance to the Victims' Bill of Rights. So I specifically work with victims of domestic and sexual violence, and I have for about 15 years. Out of my 20 years, I've specifically worked in that unit. So anyone who's involved in a dating violence or domestic violence can come to the court and get assistance from an advocate in that unit.
How has domestic violence impacted society, specifically in Hamden County today?
It's a complex question. I think that there's no part of society that isn't impacted. I think when an individual experiences domestic violence or dating violence, they're then going out into their lives, and you're going to see that ripple effect. Maybe they're having a hard time paying attention in school. They're having a hard time paying attention at work. Maybe it's a domestic violence relationship and there's children in the home. So you're going to see elevated levels of stress for those kids in the home. So I think there's nowhere that isn't impacted by dating violence in society, actually.
Do you think that domestic violence is taken seriously enough by people in our society?
I mean, I'd like to say yes. Mostly, I think we've come a long way. I think it's people are more comfortable talking about the warning signs. People are more comfortable knowing, where to go or talking about it with their children and with coworkers. But I think that we still, because I come at it from like a criminal justice standpoint, I see when we have trials and we have juries, it reminds me that we still have a long way to go, that there's a lot of people who don't understand that victims don't act the way you expect them to act. People think that someone gets assaulted, they're going to do X, Y, and Z, or they would think if they were assaulted, then they wouldn't forgive that person. They would never talk to them again. And that's just not the way a person who's involved in intimate partner violence acts. So I think we've improved a lot of the response. I think there's a lot more agencies, there's a lot more services, but I think there's still that bias in people that expect victims to act differently than they do.
How have the situations that the victims have gone through impact them in the moment and continue to impact them in the future?
I mean, I think that looking at it from a trauma perspective, the impact of trauma can last a lifetime, especially for a victim of crime. And looking at it specifically through my unit, someone who's been assaulted by someone that they're in a relationship with, I think, again, there's no part of their life that isn't impacted. I think that they find themselves being hypervigilant, always nervous, maybe still involved in that relationship. So maybe there's not safety for them. Even if they're able to get out, there's long-term impacts for them physically, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. So I think it impacts them completely in the moment and in the future.
And lastly, how have the victims that you have worked with shaped you in your role as a victim witness advocate?
Wow. I've learned a lot from them. I think early in my career, I had to learn that people didn't act the way you expect them to act. And I think I've learned something from everyone that I've worked with. Everyone responds differently to trauma. Every situation is unique. I think that they've had positive impacts on me, to see people get out of situations and act with great courage. But it's also challenging because there's a lot of pain. So to see people, experience a lot of pain, seeing children experience situations where they're under stress and experiencing a lot of trauma. But I try to focus on the positive ways and the people that have found peace and safety in their lives.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tina, for being here and helping me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.